当然这个全心如心如全心如这边呢当然这里能出个人的个是能够是呢他这里能让对那这个刚来没对或让给我们就对吧能够的是那我那心就去接不接的那心接不接那我那心全心的那你有嘛的是那第慢年吧这看着你个是呢那全心让心让我们这边东北的多过些，就是内陆塔多的多过些，多过些。但是呢，东北也多的，东北也可能呢，让我们这边这边是，那么第二让我们这边买的是，东北也可能呀，让我们这边呢，那刚来没对吧？让我们这边过来，让我们这过来。其实今天在东北你写的，把那个心就起的，像东北你的心就起呢，没也吧，东北你那。东上是有的，东北也是你个是多个的是些，我都现在但是的，工作比去呢，然后我这边有嘛的，那短的比去那个呢，让我这边是早给你有嘛的是，短的送过来，他这些学我都第一个嘛学去。
Good morning, afternoon. This morning we used an illustration of a tree, with the first point coming to recognize its way of appearing. How does it appear to consciousness, which is as if it is self-existent or independent. And then, when we investigate to see if the way it appears is the way that it exists or abides, no such tree could be found. No such tree that appears as being independent could be found. And therefore, we realize emptiness, or emptiness is found. So instead of finding an inherently existent tree, emptiness, the emptiness of inherent existence is found. So the emptiness of inherent existence is found. And that, the state of emptiness, is the ultimate way of abiding of all phenomena. So the ultimate way, or the final way, that the tree abides or exists is empty of inherent existence. And when emptiness, now that has been found, when that is investigated to see if it exists by way of its own nature, this too is found not to exist by way of its own nature. So therefore, neither the conventional phenomenon, the tree, nor its empty nature, the ultimate truth, exists inherently. Both are empty of inherent existence. All conventional truths, as well as the ultimate truth, are empty of inherent existence. This paragraph then concludes with the last two sentences. Further, when the ultimate truth itself becomes the basis of analysis, and when its natural state of existing is posited, ultimate truth itself becomes the basis of analysis in relation to its natural state of existing. Thus, there is even an explanation that emptiness can be found as a conventional truth, can be viewed as a conventional truth.
가사기 땡게 동번이 동인세의 술팅거스는 가사를 띵거 가사면은 가사라지 주게 동바세요 말에 디나신 풍부에 띵게 동일라네 풍부를 띵요라 그래서 풍부면은 풍부에 띵게 안 라시도 동바세요 말이지 디네 인자다 제자 동이 코론 키지네 제바 제연도 동이 코론 간라 마도바 랑원이 주바지요 말이지 제자 간라 마도바 랑원이 주바 메디다 간라는 랑원이 주바 동바기 동아리 도용으로 동에도 디네게 도어도 디네 동이 코론 간라 랑원이 주바 동바디 다 동이 띵게 동이세 동이 띵게 동이샤 도나데 바차용을 해서 디네게 지용도 안 동이디 대시 제바시 동이디 동이디기 아니 동지 최전의 최고 동지 최전 최고 그래서 세상 디인자 그런 거 동이 될라 되네 아니 그런 거 동이 또 불로 될라 그런 매와 유될 르디 유고 될라 매바 차로 그러와 세상 그런 거 땡게 동이 될라 내로 될라 되나 아니 최전의 동지 최전 최고 동지 최전자다 제자 랑게 땡게 동이기 군주 때바 랑게 땡게 군주 때바 세데 데네게 셰바 유스 데네게 중 가시나르 데네 송요레서 더 랑땡게 군주 때바 세제 안도시 송요레서 다데지 조에 띵아서 디 빅체시에 사상한테 안디레
These last two sentences, then, this is similar to what was similar to what we covered earlier. That when emptiness is itself becomes the subject of analysis, it is also found to lack inherent existence, or existence but from its own side. And this is because emptiness is also dependent. The emptiness of an object is dependent on that object that is empty. So there's a relationship of dependency, of mutual dependency, between a phenomenon and its empty nature. This is not only the case with trees, it certainly is the case with the person. When one investigates a person coming to find that the person is empty of inherent existence, this emptiness that is dependent on the person. There's a relationship of dependency again between the phenomenon and its empty nature. So too with the individual aggregates. They are all empty of being self-existent, and that empty nature is dependent on the phenomenon. So this is the case with all phenomena. No phenomena exist by way of their own nature, essence, or characteristic. All are empty of existing in this way, including including emptiness. When one then investigates emptiness itself and realizes it too is empty, this is the realization of the emptiness of emptiness. Because even in that case, the emptiness, if we go back to the tree, the emptiness of the tree, that emptiness is dependent on the object, the tree. So there's this relationship of mutual dependency. When that emptiness is investigated, then when it is realized, emptiness is realized to be empty, there is a relationship between the emptiness that is being investigated and its empty nature. And that is the presentation on emptiness of emptiness. Then some texts present, as we have here in the final sentence, that when the ultimate truth becomes the object of analysis, it then is being viewed as a conventional truth, which is realized to be empty. So this then we covered in brief this morning. It is taught that emptinesses are divided into 20, 18, 16, or 4 types in terms of the basis qualified by emptiness, although there is no difference in essence between them. So I've just changed the translation of the end of the sentence.
dong sang de la, dong bi dong sang de la, da dong yin si yorwa. 제가 강라마도 랑원의 주변 동백에 동상대라 켜버 가요 말해서 제가 켜요 말해서 이나다 강라마도 랑원의 주변에 동백 동상디 시 강사게 때도 유매 제바지나 강사 때도 매바텔라 아니 강사게 담에서 요러와 다 되게 강라마도 랑원의 주변 동백 동바디다 시디 풍부되는 강사래 신 풍부이 때도 아니 마주바텔라 네 취기 담에서 돼 제가 강사 담에다 취기 담에서 돼 dus ni shi gro de ne za ko gang la ma de rang won de bi dong ba de la kya ba me na yang dong ji chu jing gi de ne ane ga sa da me da ane chu gi da me se ni sung kya ba dus chi ne she gro ma do je san ko ngo rang xing de bi dong ba de la kya ba ga yo ma de
What the sentence is presenting is that, as we heard previously, all phenomena are empty of inherent existence, including emptiness itself. And whatever phenomenon is realized to be empty, that nature of emptiness does not vary no matter what is empty. So whatever the basis is that is analyzed, its nature remains emptiness, emptiness of inherent existence, whatever that phenomenon is. So this is the meaning of there is no difference in essence between them. The essence or the nature of all phenomena is emptiness. There is, though, a difference in terms of basis. In other words, what do we have here? The basis that is analyzed or examined, the basis qualified by emptiness. So there's a variety of bases, of course, or phenomena, and these can be categorized in many different ways. But the most abbreviated category will be the division into two, where if it is the person that is being investigated and found to be empty of inherent existence, that emptiness is called the selflessness of persons. And if it's any phenomenon other than the person, such as the aggregates, their emptiness is called the selflessness of phenomena. So here there's a change in the basis, but the emptiness, the empty nature, this does not vary.
di son se ge che du che du ja koron le de ne gi an so ba ne koron la pan do che yue ba da koron ge ma ba da tun bi ge de ne ge an ne ga chi gui bi ong ge de ne ge song ba ko ton ni shu sa so ya da ga bre le ga she ton ni shu sa de ne ga she ton ni shi so ya da de ne jo bie so ya da ju ru so ya da da do du na da ga sa ta me na chu ge da me ni na du yong re an de du ne a so ya da du sung re.
The bases qualified by emptiness are innumerable. Everything that exists is empty. But when the Buddha taught, he taught in accordance with the individual dispositions and inclinations of the audience. So at times he classified these innumerable bases as 20, as 18, as 16, as 4, and in its most condensed, that of 2. The selflessness of persons and the selflessness of phenomena.
Sharing Donald Master Denegi Dene Mamboyore, Sonshaki, the Sharing Donala. Sharing it all. Oh, part of the sharing was part of the Shimbedas already.
Genla recited the 16, the division of 16 emptinesses. I'll just read it very quickly. The emptiness of the outer, the emptiness of the inner, the emptiness of the outer and the inner, great emptiness, emptiness of the beginningless and endless, emptiness of the conditioned, emptiness of the unconditioned, emptiness of emptiness, emptiness beyond extremes, natural emptiness, emptiness of the unobserved, ultimate emptiness, emptiness of the indispensable, emptiness of the essential nature of non-entities, emptiness of all phenomena, and emptiness of specific characteristics. So this is one of those classifications, and these are all found together in the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras. And the Buddha used different classifications in order to meet the needs of his specific audience.
Nang dongpa ni labdu dangpo chi dongpa ni se sheba na chi dongpa ni se ngang zu gyugi madu bi su chiro bi su la so ba chi do ge xing do da do da jing mang wo ro ba gyugi madu bi su chiro bi su ti ge de so ra xin yi tu bi dongpa de la chi dongpa ni so chi se di chi da nang la du nang se di gyugi du ba wong bo de ge sha chi se du gyugi madu bi ge na de ji xing la so ba de xing do da do da de sa de ge gyugi madu bi su de ge la chi sha 제가 치 동반이 라위도 유기 마디비 숙차상 라신 주베 동바레 에서 송거다 동바레서 치 동반이 낭다 치니 샤오로 치랍도 낭지고로와 낭데 가르스는 왕부디기 샤오래 제 치세데 가르스는 유기 마디비 치르고 술라서 발샤고래 제가 치 동반이 라도 유기 마디비 치르고 숙차상 라신 주베 동바레 송거다 지도다디래 다 셰바 시금이나 담보 지동반이 셰고로 와도마데 제가 치다 낭랍도 낭세데 가를 고스네 미 왕부디기래 낭라고 레제 다 치랍도 가서 유기 마디비 숙디기래 치라고 레제 제가 치동반이 라요도 유기 마디비게 술라서 바라신 주베 동반이데라 치동반이 시고레제 그래서네 치세디 유기 마디비 숙디샤 We
won't be going through all of these, but just to maybe highlight a few, if you have interest, taking that of the division of emptiness of the outer. So this refers to outer phenomena that have arisen in dependence on causes. They are all empty of inherent existence. Then the emptiness of the inner refers to what's connected to our continuum, as our sense powers, that these too are empty of inherent existence. So, for example, if we were to go through the 20 divisions, we'd be able to include in the various categories all phenomena, from the table to the clock to myself to all of you, being empty of inherent existence. We'll find our own place within these various divisions.
나도바 니라고 그래서는 원봉 죽데 낭세래 낭세를 라고 규칙하라서는 간사기 규규 뒤바이자 낭라 그래제 간사기 규규 뒤에 원보에자 낭세네 제가 원보들 낭레스 제가다 규규마도 수디를 치레스 제가 치다 낭세시 제가 디네 자다 원보 죽 라신 뒤에 동바들 원보 죽여데 이내다 원보 죽 레레네 말아 마송하지 원보 라신 뒤에 동바니 시거 제가디 될 낭동바니 시죠.
The division of emptiness of the inner refers then to the sense powers because of their being connected to one's continuum. These two are empty of inherent existence. So we will have 6 sense powers of those that of sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and the mental sense power. These are all empty of inherent existence, and because of their direct connection, or being directly connected to the continuum, they are referred to as inner. So their emptiness is the classification of emptiness of the inner.
China niga dongpa nilare, chida nang niga dongpa nilare. Tadi migi wangting kokpa dira, so migi wangpo tuasai, di migi shiji dokdokshidwa, di la wangting la, migi wangpo tuasai, wangting la kora. Chisa di chi la goya kimza kara na, nang wangpo la tue de ko chi cha de yore. Nang wangpo marwa, wangting wangpo tuasai kangpa di, kokpa di, wangting kokpa di, wangpo marwa, wangpo mayanza, ko wangpo la tue de ko chi res. 치레스 나나 치 수소 라소바 되는 거 나래 돼. 그래서 그 규기도 말해 들어. 제가 그 친한이가 해서 친한이가 친하시 미국 원팅 코바디 친한이가 시되다 낭왕벌어 되듯이 치유 규기마도 수라 되는 거낭 대시를 찍찍을 되나 그낭 치 수소라 되네 나고 낭차들 낭왕벌어 되는 그 치대 딩일을 되반에 친한이가 차들 제사디 왕보 라싱 주변 동반이들라 친한이가 동반이 있으면 있다고.
A third division is the emptiness of the outer and inner. So this then would refer to, for instance, our eyeball, because from the perspective of our eye sense power, it is outer. But from the perspective of phenomena external to the body, then it is inner. So therefore, its emptiness of inherent existence is included in the category, the emptiness of the outer and inner. Then the fourth, because this is now going through the fourfold classification, the fourth is the emptiness of emptiness. And this is, as has been explained, when emptiness is taken as the subject that is analyzed, it too is empty of inherent existence. And that emptiness is included in the fourth category.
초주 라신 주변 동반이들 첨보 동반이라 첨보라는 거 술 가르고 옷은 지다 첨보세야 되는 거 갑을 중원들한테 첨보세 뭐뭐 거예요. 다들 첨보세도 그 초를 파시시네. 초를 뭐 디마도 체지 지에서 말. 지다 초주들이야 첨보스라래 해서. 지다 첨보 라신 주변 동반이시도 초주 라신 마주바들라 첨보 동반이 있으면 언도스는 거래죠.
There was the fourfold, or the four kinds of emptiness, which are of course included within the 16, 18, and 20. So to look at some more of them, there is another classification of great emptiness. What great emptiness refers to is phenomena of exceptional size, and there's nothing bigger than the 10 directions. So if we look at the four cardinal and the four semi-cardinal maybe, I don't know, intermediate, and then up and down, we have our 10 directions, and there's nothing bigger than that. So they too, being in existence, the directions, north, south, and so forth, are empty of inherent existence, and their emptiness is classified in the category great emptiness.
나 던담바 동반이 세디 안저기 상기기 최고 세저로 최고 던담바 동반이 시거를 나 현재데 지장이 잡다 가가가이나 뭐 던담바이 상기기 안저 최고 세디래 이니 나 이제 녀모바 지바 탐지다 방비 뻥바 세디 쉬 뻥비고 꼭된다 아니 지게 이 가서 최고들라 라신 남들게 가서 우리 최고다 꼭된데다 아니 이시 최고세 니 연구로 하디 니가 최고세로 와 지난 최고고 상기 유기를 최고고 세대 됐다 된나베게 내려야 된나 봐세대 상기 유 최고될 거고 그래지 제가 디 안에 상기 유 최고디야 라신이 주기 동바래 세대 내려야 된나베 동바 이 세대 될 대순 거래지
Another classification is that of ultimate emptiness. What is included in ultimate emptiness is the true cessation of having abandoned afflictions together with their seeds, as well as the nature truth body. They, being existence, are empty of inherent existence, and their emptiness is included in the category ultimate existence.
The Dumaji Tombani and Yawa and Jiba meeting, Dujilim, Gijin meeting and Chede, then Yawa the Jiba maybe Chehorwa, do not Tawadi, Yawa the Jiba maybe Cheslavy, Yawa the Jiba Yuhin Duje, Duje Tombani, Yawa Jiba Duje Horong, Mobi Che Tamja Gasore, Duje Tombani la de Carcos, come somebody, so come somebody. So come, Sume Duham, Casa Debe comes, Sugi come, Sumia come Sumerova. Digo Dujire de Rova, that comes somebody, Ranshin you to be Tombatilla, and Duji Tombani Slare. Duji Tombani said, nearly Duji Tombani said, come somebody like Duji. Chida, Duji Chetan Ranshin to be Tombati, Duji Chetam Ranshin to be Tombati Sungoma, that Duji Tombani, the Duji said the Caragos, come somebody go. Come somebody Ranshin to be Tombani de la Duji Tombani, such as somewhere.
Then there's another type I've translated as emptiness of the conditioned. Conditioned. So this refers to, normally we say compounded. So phenomena that have arisen independent on causes that are contained within the three realms of samsara. So these are all produced phenomena, conditioned phenomena, or caused phenomena contained within the three realms. They are all empty, and the emptiness of each of those phenomena are included within the category, the emptiness of the conditioned.
And then the nigger, I didn't mind the Magana Chihudo that I might that. Says, I did Chazan do Susi and Tomba did ranching Matubar Marjo Sungo Carrier Sungo Carasne, many Sunsagi Chidu, Dujan, Cashelia, or the Chichoti Pene comes to church, you said. Church you get the ranching to be inside and be the boy order. The boy gore. Cashelia comes from said ranching to be Mendro, Yores, inside the same toba. Cashelia and then one body get Pashi ranching to be inside the same toba. On Dusin Gansa Chidu, Dujan, Alolia, then they get to what Cashigas to then you Yungisara. Says I didn't mind the toba say. Now don't buy it, don't buy it, now don't buy it, Chimbo don't buy it, to Chazanti to don't buy him, rising to be your Marta says somewhere rather than Donadua.
From just covering a few of these, hopefully it's come across that the purpose of classifying emptinesses in this way is that the meditator, looking through these divisions, can overcome any lingering doubt that something can be found that exists by way of its own nature. That perhaps subtle form in our body, such as the sense powers, or permanent phenomena such as the true cessation, or something quite extraordinary like directions, that perhaps they exist by way of their own nature, and they will, the meditator will investigate and see that whatever they look at, nothing can be found to exist by way of its own nature. All are empty.
Migi number shen na number shen Zumeta meti merime church mime now me name jime lume said Gishi denigi Gishi junior mati Tisuya Rashi Marese. Jasan Denizan go chedu Duja Horala, Shera Nibo Sunsuke chedu Dujalia, Pumbonga Rashi, Pumbonga Rere Rashi Madubares. And Gishi junior Rere Rashi Madubares and Dushin Sungudua, and Dina Shinda, go Sunseki chedu Dujalia, and Coronsul, the next one, Coronsul. Pando Chewa, the horse Sungui Pekova, then the Yobaza, then the Sungui Serva.
We can also then refer here to the Heart Sutra, because in the Heart Sutra, a long list of categories are presented as with a negation, showing that they lack inherent existence. They are empty of inherent existence. And here too, the meditator is reminded or engages in the analysis of the 5 aggregates, that each are empty of inherent existence. The 12 elements or constituents, these too are all empty of inherent existence. And the Heart Sutra mentions many other categories, and it's all to serve this purpose of encouraging the meditator to recognize again and again, nothing exists in the way that it appears to mind, whether it's a view, whether it's a permanent phenomenon, an impermanent phenomenon, a consciousness, all are empty of inherent existence.
Gansa dame da chuki dame se de ni na du ru de na ma de je ma da gan de sam dan da ji ba de da je san gansa dame gansa ran xin yu ju ba de dong ba de le gansa dame da gansa le xian da ji gi ju ba na ju ji ma du ba na de chuo yin na ga rin cha san da gansa le ma yin ge chu gan de xin ne ni ding gi dong yi de le chuki dame se su ru wa.
For ourselves, we can engage in this meditation without knowing this list of classifications, just using the two, selflessness of persons and selflessness of phenomena. When we seek the person and find that the person is empty of inherent existence, that falls into the category of selflessness of persons. And every other phenomenon, whether it is something more abstract, like a direction, or whether it's a subtle form, a coarse form, something permanent, impermanent, it all fits into the other category of the selflessness of phenomena, when we recognize that despite appearing to exist by way of its own nature, it is empty of existing by way of its own nature.
동이 또 별로되라 네 동이 간에서 차고 그래 지사다디 차타한테 차나 네 동이 문에 또고 말이야 되니 차바나 동이 문에 또고 와서 진짜 먼저 로라 차타한테 봐 두치네 안 마심 주시는 거거든요 막 간에서 차고 그래야지 되나 되네 나다 되나 시도 대시 동방이 세대 동우 근데 준실라서 최담제 라신 주비 동바래 동이 고라야 랑원이 주바요 마랑 동이 고라야 동바니레스 라신 주비 동바레스 어 데네스인다 최담제 라신 주비 동바이나다 동이 또 베게 로텔이야 안 동이 차도 간데 차고 고래야지.
Again, then, the purpose of this paragraph we've just concluded to look at is for meditators to look at a wide variety of phenomena, recognizing nothing exists in the way that it appears. Nothing exists by way of its own nature. Repeating this process again and again so as to challenge this grasping we have that phenomena exist in the way that they appear. And as one comes to recognize this again and again, that through investigating a wide variety of objects repeatedly and keep on coming to the same conclusion, they are empty of existing in the way they appear, a question arises to be sure, are we going down the right path? And that is the question in the middle of page 20. How does emptiness appear to a mind when it ascertains emptiness, ascertains or realizes emptiness?
나 동이 제바체 동이 파 제동이 해버 로스 동이 강라 가스방아 제가 히 강사에 되는 샤바이나다 풍부에 되는 가르샤바네 되는 나와나신 단나와나신 두개 메도디 그 땡징 제와 숨다 제바체 되는 제바체 되는 로리아 직 차량도 차르트제 간데시나다 나 동비 고룩세르 동비 고룩 매밤 예장 갑ter 장매기 체동게 차나 동행해봐 미스 Jidang Nebasina Topala Kugore, Tony Topala Kugore, Daddy Jidang Tony To, said Tony Coron Toya, Marta Tony Jebache, Pa Tony Jebache, that Tony Jebachina, Topic, Tenting, Namja Rimba, Toya, Rimba Mambo, or what the neighbors, the Niching Epishulo, she has some gorda.
So, just before I come to Genna's commentary, just a couple of terms. So before we had, I think this morning, the term find or found, and Genna mentioned that means to realize here, and it often does, but not always. So likewise, in this question is another word that is often a synonym for to realize, and that is ascertain or ascertainment. Here, it doesn't mean to realize, but to investigate, come to know. So these terms, it's good to bear in mind, often do mean to realize, but not necessarily. So let's look then at the, continue with the text. So when one is investigating phenomena, whether to see how they appear and how they exist, whether it is through the fourfold division that I went through earlier, of the emptiness of the outer, emptiness of the inner, emptiness of the outer and inner, and emptiness of emptiness, or the twofold division of the selflessness of persons and the selflessness of phenomena, whichever classification one has gone through, then how does the emptiness that one ascertains, how does it appear to mind? So looking at the text, if one does not have the correct manner of comprehending emptiness, equating it with the appearance of a vacuity which is nothingness, this is not the ascertainment of emptiness.
And the that Dongbanning, the Ganle, Dongbanning, Ebi, Lola, Tony, Chasu, Jida in Sena, City, Jidang, Dongbanning, Tobu, Lodelia, Dongi Pa, Chao, the kind of Chao Gure, says the kind of stress and Kishi or what the duality Lirova. That Delia, and do Chine, Dongbanning, sometimes Jebache, the Nigi. Adi Dongbanyin Sares and Big Dongban, Dambo Dongbanyin, Ebi lost at Tony to Bolonganesi or Wada, Dongbanyi Topo Ludela, and Tony Chadu can Chagore, says Jiwashilua. That in my dual legend, that in Ma something don't be Goluk, Goluk Mebam, Yuang Captain Jangme Chawas. Sidida, the two the Dongbanyi Jeba Shimju Chejipa, Shimju Kansanjulia, Jat that. Chick Mindua Sambigi Chick Tona, Tongina, Tombanyu Golu Meba, said the Meba, Mindu Sambaja. Then Yuang Gap Dir, Jidang, Yuan Gap Delidu, Gaya Midu, Jang Mess, Zao Uni Meba. That Mindua Sambi Chedong said, Zao Uni Mebaji, that Uni Mebaji, Gaya Mindu, Sub Mindu, Jam Mindu, Drum Mindu, Rasha Mindu, Gansa Mindu, Pumbo Mindu Sibi, the Niki Jeba do, Gaya Mindu Sambig Charson Vena. Di Chedong, Chedong Chagores. Sisan di Nangsu di Hagoa di Donging, Donging Doyle Mares. Di Gaya Mindu Sempe sometime, Gaya Mindu Sempe somebody, that Chedong like some digi, Donging Doyle and Donging Doyle Mares. Kasan Gala Mad Rang when you Gaya Mindu Sempe Sanguduala, Chesadi, Gaya Mindu Sambana, Zao in a Jang Mess, Zao in a Meba, Zao in a Meba, some Damen, the Nigula, some Zinguena. Di Chetago, Chetalungores, Chesnadi Chedon Chadio, Chetalungres, is that Tony Doyle Maratoning ever means.
If one does not have the correct manner of comprehending emptiness, equating it with the appearance of a vacuity, which is nothingness, this is not the ascertainment of emptiness. This then refers to someone who's meditating on emptiness and comes to recognize the phenomenon does not exist in the way that it appears. Now the question comes, so emptiness is appearing to me, but is it really a correct ascertainment of emptiness? So the person is not confident, they have some doubt. And that doubt is what is being addressed here. So in the first instance, if one does not have the correct manner of comprehending or understanding emptiness, Here, one thinks that the phenomenon, as it says, equating it with the appearance of a vacuity, which is nothingness, thinking that the phenomenon does not exist at all. There's nothing whatsoever at all that exists. There is no sound, literally. There is no, so it's from the Heart Sutra, there's no sound, there's no taste, there's no touch, etc. There is no person. Here, confusing the appearance of, or the realization of emptiness with nothing existing whatsoever, a vacuity, which is nothingness.
See the rang gala mother round when you droopy round when you droopy tombare lavender sick dig your said go to your said gala mother round when you droopy tombare said your said go ores manzo tombare the kind never said go to she said the gala mother round when you droopy tombare gala mother round when you droopy tombare lavender the duanlia Yore said, go res. The go res. Says I'm to get to go to a coach to Adi. And my dog and the go brother. That it one muddling my 말이 디키시가 마당 안주기 가르고 그러스네 강라에마도 랑문이 주변 동바래에서 동바래에 라든 안수 삼나나 요 말에 세디 책이와 지상 강라에마도 랑문이 주변 동바래에 세기 되는래 지금 요래 세디 고고 거래지래 맞아 자와기네 가서 동바래 기네 요 말에 세디 레고 말에스 된다라 지금 요래 세디 고고 거래서 딩한 디고 투고 말다 디고 거래지래
So this is an important point to get some clarity on, because for us there is a real danger of when we meditate and we come to recognize phenomena are empty of existing the way they appear. Gain an understanding, realization is a big word, but we gain a realization of emptiness, that we may think there's nothing whatsoever, nothing at all. And then also, we may go in a different direction, say, there is emptiness, and here assert something. So there is some danger of going in, not finding the correct balance, going in a mistaken way.
내내가서 탑산하래 미치리아 저게 추주고들라베나 에네디 미디기 추정모 가서 추서부마도 매랍나 가서 추서부 가서 오래다 추서부 균이 매랍나 아니 주균이 매라고 말아 추서부요 말해 라고 봐 라면도 돈달라 갈아서네 추장모 열다스 고고 있는 장모 고고 거는 열었으니 니네 고고라 빼나가서 추서부요 말해 라면도 추고고들라 추뒤에라도 추서부요 말 달랍나 안 나도 람상 가르고 고고서네 아데 추장모 여사래서 추서 민들라도 추장모 열었으니 베게 삼레 두고와 지상 그 추서부요 말해 라면도 시디기 주균에 매라고 말와다 고고 말 추서부요 말해 라도 지식디기 지슈야 지 유해바지 지 유해바지 고고도 거래 지산다 가려서네 서부 요말라도 장모 요래 세치리고로 받아 제사 서우 요말에 세대 찌디기 죽이네 요말을 거 봐. 요말을 거 말아. 세상 찌될 때네 가르고 그러서네 곧 찌기 요바지 고고를 해지래. 주 요바지 고고를지. 어디나신 안 주기. 강라에 뭐 마도바 랑원의 주비기 똥바래. 강라에 마도 랑원의 주바도 요말에 라벼도 다 강라에 마도바 랑원의 주바도 요말에 라벼도 찌기 요를 요바지. 아니 가르스 요를 sen시한테 되는 요를 해야지. 어두슬이 오래지래.
Here, let's take an illustration. Two people are cooking. The one says to the other, I need water. And the reply is, there is no hot water at all. The person who needs water, what do they hear? They hear what is said, there is no hot water at all, which implies there is water. It's just not hot, it's cold. So here, the reply that has come is to say, is a negative, that there is not hot water at all. But there is an implication that there is water, it's just not hot, it's cold. Similarly, when you meditate on emptiness, and we come to recognize that phenomena are empty of inherent existence, there is no such thing as inherent existence. That is negation. Empty of inherent existence. There is no inherent existence. But it implies that there is still existence. And how is that? Through mutual dependency.
동반이 갈라이마다 랑원이 좀 동바레에서 측디되네 송요도 갑라 남사 가야면 봐 동사 가야 매바 자오기니 매바 장매세 자오기니 매바디 고야요 말했어 제가 갈라이마 랑원이 좀 동바레에 라요도 갈라야 마디오바 랑원이 주바디 요 말에라도 지기 요바 고고래스 다들 요바 고고는 안 다지 심지에 간스 요래라도 현실에 되는 요래 사실이도 고래 제가 갈라이마도 랑원이 동바레에서 장매바 자오기니 매바디 고고 말 제가 디네서 제바치네 디네 갈라이마 랑원이 동바레에 삼다에도 갈라야 자오기니 매바 자오기네 장매 자오기니 매바디 삼다샤나 된 체동 작용을 했어. 제가 디 삼다다 노고 했어. 제가 또 영문에 하고 매베 따랬어. 이게서 그래. 체다 작용. 대다와디 대자와기니 민도스네 체베다와 체다 작용을 했어. 제가 디 동이 또 그거 말했어.
When one recognizes that phenomena are empty of inherent existence, there is the danger of then coming to the conclusion that is pointed to in our first sentence here, that therefore nothing exists at all. There is a nothingness. And this is a mistake. Rather than coming to a conclusion of non-existence, when one realizes that phenomena are empty of inherent existence, continue that thought, but there is still existence. How so? Through dependent arising, through mutual dependency. When one continues in this direction, one doesn't make the mistake of equating emptiness, reading from the text, equating emptiness with the appearance of a vacuity, which is nothingness. Because such an understanding is one of nihilism. So this needs to be guarded against, and rather recognize that the phenomenon is empty of inherent existence, and take this to imply that there is existence, but that is through dependency.
내게 인디 연구를 해서 세상 내게 나디서도 가르 연구를 도 동일 바직 제바지 되니게 제바친도 동일 바 삼단에 제 삼단에도 지는 근데 삼다비기 미니마 안지게 체달 직조야게 인하지 리도 그러지 제사 되네 인자 인텔리아 아니 아직 직동이게 남차 땡hen 델리아 안에 지게 기회신이 땡고 바디 예침 보자고 되네 실례던 델리아 안디시 땡지게 남차 땡지게 참모 세상 랑원에 제가 되는 주바 요바 땡지게 삼당고 그래야지 세상 되니게 삼당에도 for the Tony the Tatarangi to go as that Zawin Mabari Medus and Begi dus Lichisa, Delia Denis some Leo that Tianjig some Damu session.
What's essential we take from this is to understand that there is a real danger of going in the direction of nihilism, of believing that nothing exists at all. And this is a danger that one can fall in through meditating repeatedly over a sustained period on emptiness, but coming to a wrong conclusion. Rather, the way we need to understand this here, or the advice we need to take from this, is we need to rely on, stay close to, stay connected with our Lama, so that we can continue to be guided in our meditation and gain guidance so as not to fall into this trap, into this danger. And together with that, we also need to take from this, the second point to take, is that in our meditation from emptiness, we must include the presentation on dependence arising. So when we meditate on emptiness, to complement that with the presentation of dependence arising.
다 동문이 원에도 두고 말 동바에 제바지 다 강래 마도 랑원들 동바로 동상으로 지바지 래 동영원에 마도 와지 되니게 동상지 지리해도 걸다 되니게 동상디 아니 가서는 제바지에 동바이 도비 류기 니고로 와다 니고 와자다 파지는 예두 선배 삼로시고레스 제가 니네 제는 예두 선배 삼로도 사신 주바레 샤스 제가 동바이 템바 주바레 세제 어디네기 제바지네 안두세 제바진 동바이 원에 마도 와체 니바라들야 안디수 진지디 동상지 제는 니요도 다 동바이 세데 템바 주바레 샤가스는 다신 제위 제는 니두 제가 도도도와 진이기도 있어 동이 템바도 바래 해야지 어두스네 동이 템바도 비슷 된진리요 제가 다다 얘기 되네게 용거를 해시래
This danger of falling into nihilism is real, and in the way of advised, we need to guard against it. And at the same time, we need to guard against the companion danger of falling into nihilism, which is when one is meditating on emptiness and recognizes phenomena are empty of existing the way they have appeared. I've found something in my analysis. I've found the empty nature. And here, feeling that you have found something existent from its own side, one falls into the other extreme, that of verification, believing that you have found the emptiness that exists by way of its own nature or essence. So the phenomenon may be empty, but its empty nature, that exists by way of its own essence. And here you have made the error of falling into the extreme of verification, where when one realizes the phenomenon is empty of existing the way that it appears, believes that now you have found its true nature, and that exists in the way that it appears.
그래서 내게 동이 템버주바 장신주바 레샤 선비 삼로리아 직제 내게 안데 가야미도 체체 가야미도 왔음베 안데 체탈 레야 되게 차상 그 동반일 봐 제바제 심주체 갈라 간sam라 마소는 그 지게 하고에 파 동반이 하고에 타 예부로 실리도 갑라 안데네 디바라들레 다 체탈 홍야다 안 딱탈 홍야게 냥가들 이거래 또 진에게 제바로지 마제바데 데네기 톨라 테 딱딱다 체다세데 그냥 용야기 샤라샤 냥아요 말에 그래서 내그 심주코라지 지고 말와 때 심주 제제지 파파파파 제 강삼 지려지 코로나도 오다디 면도 선비게 코로나기다 제바치는 담에 탁줄리로 지고 담에 탁줄리리도 딜레도 아니 그다디 니기도 와디 요래 선비게 삼다니 라신 두바레 랑원이 두바레셔서 따탈래 요 다도 제바죠 동상차다 동상에 다 동상만 가해 민도와 선배다 최탐제 가해 민도와 선배 삼지 자와기니 민도 선배가 삼다 체달래요 제가 디바라들 돈이 제바지야 고로 야리디 갑라 냥아 리고래 제가 di cheba ma cheba da denegi also malenta ko denegi data le tongba taba temba tu resha sembe samle da cheta ka mi do sembe samle de yoha ge nyanga shala me ba da ko ka jele nyanga yo ba di da ko pe cheba ra chine kala kasam cheba le yo de le ya nyanga chenpo chego re yung isara di.
If you're hearing this explanation on the dangers of falling into nihilism or reification, and it sounds a little alien for oneself in the sense that from one's own meditation on emptiness and one's understanding of the topic, it seems quite clear. How does one fall into either nihilism or reification? Then this is to be expected that one would have such a doubt. And it is a sign that one's analysis is still at a very coarse level. Because the actual yogins who are in danger of making this error are those who are close to realizing emptiness itself. They are the ones who come to, through deep, sustained analysis, or sustained over a long period, come to really recognize that phenomena do not exist in the way they appear. And they realize this in a way that's profound. And that, at that point, there is the danger of them thinking, and therefore nothing exists. Or, that phenomena do not exist in the way they appear, they are empty. That, what I'm realizing here, what is appearing to me now, that exists by way of its own nature. So it's the yogins who are meditating at a profound level, not at a coarse level. They are the ones who are in danger of falling into either of these extremes.
제가 진정을 참모들이에요. 되네 신의 톱송선 비기 안델이야 신의 톱송선 비 노르체네 아니 신의 톱송선 비기 두체네 노래야 되냐가 용고레스 제가 되니자 곧 신의 마두칸라디 용아야 말 신의 줍지고 셈네를 마서는 야슬레데 가시 레서이제레 진화 참모들이에요. 진화 참모되다 되니 신의이디 예와 체마도제 진화 참모다 신의 톱송선 비기 두체네 노래 용고레스야다 안되니게 Andi membe adu sene ajik anzuge 신의 줍 되네 다지게 시락 남바 두신 남고미도 다 신의 줍제도 세디 감고미 셈데 고도 녀모쳐서 시조하지 거로 와다 녀모 받쳐서 만 지대다 줄흘려 자죠 세상 되니까냐 탈바 톱서서 비게 땅이 탈바 톱서서 비게 주야 되는 노조 먹고 용을 해서 송도
That's perhaps a good point then to draw your attention to other dangers that can befall one in one's meditation practice. So take those who are striving to develop calm abiding, single-pointed concentration. They haven't trained well in the technique, gathering knowledge and familiarity and guidance, familiarity of the knowledge and guidance from a skilled teacher. They may well come to the point when they're holding an object stably for a lengthy period of time with a mind that's not wavering, that's undistracted, peaceful and calm. And now they feel calm abiding has been achieved. And from that description, based on their experience, it sounds like it has. But they've fallen into the common error of subtle laxity, where laxity is one of the what's the term? One of the obstacles to the attainment of calm abiding, where the object upon which one is trying to hold single-pointedly, it lacks vivid clarity. So one may be abiding on it stably, but it lacks vivid clarity. Not realizing this, the meditator thinks, I've got it, it's clear, it's unwavering, I'm undistracted, I've achieved calm abiding. But in actuality, they've fallen into subtle laxity. So that is a danger. A second is someone who has managed to suppress their afflictions through the attainment of calm abiding. So their afflictions of the desire realm are not manifest or are very weak, and they now think they've attained liberation. But in fact, they are nowhere near challenging the root cause of their suffering. They've just suppressed their afflictions. So this is then a third error in meditation that can be made if one is not close to a skilled teacher.
Dine kabla nga zuge nyamne chede sosugi semliya da sosugi nyamnyo de shli du kabla sosugi nyamnyo de lama yangi nyamnyo dal den shli du di kana je ne de tata cheg du cheg min shudu ne lamegi ane sosugi nyamnyo to ne okyon semliya dine chagwe ne di no chu chegor delia samna du stang hu re sa da and dine samdang dine shli gwe na odi tata re di kran 다가란 네는 다가란 공부를 해야 돼. 어두스네. 다 소수기 로미 냠냠는 지리 갑려 소수기 냠뇽 로려야도 실례도 냠뇽 나와샤단 로 냠뇽디 파 라마야슈 라미기다 그니때데 결혼이 때디데 어디네 다다래서 디네 추구 놀고래 니 말에 디네 삼당 거래서 돼. 도신다 라미기 안파 라트치네 세보셔야 돼. 도시용 거 제가 디네자 저기 디네 갑려 라마디 냠낸 지식에 모임 받을 김선을 찍된 디네.
So, these three dangers then present another reason why relying on one's teacher is of such importance. So when one is applying oneself with intensity, striving to cultivate paths within one's continuum, it's imperative that one is relying on a skilled teacher, someone who has and is guiding one in one's acquiring of knowledge and the integration of that knowledge within oneself. Because then one can have conversations with one's teacher, describing one's meditative experience from the perspective of not presenting one's profound experience, but rather to confirm, is what I'm experiencing reliable or not? Am I going in the correct direction or not? And the Lama then has the opportunity to guide you, to point out where any faults may be and how to correct them. So again, this shows the great importance of relying on a skilled teacher.
Desa jermiche 동방에 삼다도시네 안에 지진제배야 시에시야도 jer미치야 안도시네 소소게 냠뇨데니 도시야 지진제배야 쉬어도 지진제배양게 어다데 결혼이 삼다데 동방이 운에 따따데 레민도스 진짜 디마르된 진짜 레민 생예래 안디 결혼데 내가서 참 잘와 줘래서 되는 도시네 안제름 삼야 줘된 만 주신 직 제리야 안 소사 집자신에 되게 안 동이 도비기는 남다나데 된 순거로와
Rinpoche Lama Tsongkhapa, he had been studying and reflecting extensively on emptiness. And amongst his great attainments, he was in direct conversation with Manjushri. And he presented his understanding of emptiness to Manjushri in exactly the way that I've mentioned now in the previous segment, a meditator, a yogin should do with their teacher. And then Rinpoche's teacher, Manjushri, replied and said, your understanding of emptiness is not quite right. It is still flawed. Therefore, you need to follow my direction now so as to overcome these flaws and attain the actual direct realization of emptiness. What you need to do is go into intensive retreat where you focus on accumulating virtue, purifying negativities, whilst also engaging in further analysis. So in this is a lived example of a student relying on the teacher's advice, and in this way, gaining profound realization.
어디 자데 딘마 두시네 결혼치기 송야디디 송고르시자 마한솔레도 제바지도 치디갑려야 안파 땡지게 남자선 동방에 제바지 강섬질 동상 진리도 갑려야 자오기니 민도와 선비게 섬다나 디 노워레스 제가 디 체동 차디 동이 두고 뭐 제가 자오기니 민도스 가야 민도 선비게 섬다교 말레스 제가디 데네 섬당교 반디 노트 차고레스 난술야 다라트 두스는 거다 디마 라트에서는 디 노고르다 세네 디 마레스네 디네 장매도 자오기니 며 섬다네 디 동이 두고 말다디 동이 체동 차르고래 세 체다 차르고다 세 두스네 디 섬다네 딘 동이 두고 말해서 된다 세부수고로 다든가 저기.
Whilst I've mentioned that those who are in danger of falling into these extremes are accomplished yogins who are close to realizing emptiness, we should nevertheless recognize that His Holiness wrote this advice for us practitioners at our level too, and we should take this advice and follow it. Take this advice as imprints, so that as we strive and develop ourselves in terms of our understanding of emptiness, we guard against these errors through following the advice that is presented here, so that when our time comes, when we are close to realizing emptiness, we have these imprints from this guidance about when there's an appearance of emptiness, not then thinking nothing exists at all.
어디 여름치기 디 체동을 송시 송디 노트를 송샤스 송송스 다치다디 니들로든 디 삼다에 매바디 노트를 비기 남사 나저기 다디 배치디 바중한 저기 지글로 사위 제려야 안지제마 왕바나즈도 동방이 삼단 제가 갑이 되는 제바제베지 어디 자기 최담제 가야 민도와 선비게 삼레로 지기는 어디 삼단의 노트를 샤스니만 여름치기도 난 우메디메 날에 디 삼다기 디 체동 차고를 송사서 대디 다다 말에 선비 남사 전투고
His Holiness is, of course, someone we all have profound faith in. So when we are in intense retreat, meditating on emptiness, we notice, or we come to recognize again, phenomena do not exist in the way they appear. They are empty of existing the way that they appear. And then we notice our mind going in the direction, they do not exist at all. Nothing exists whatsoever. This is where these imprints are so important. Through hearing these teachings again and again and putting them to mind, we'll recognize at that time, we'll recall His Holiness's advice at that time. There's an error in my thinking here. I need to be on guard. There is a potential danger here.
동이 덴버드로 공부하기로 치렀어. 그 가서 동이 덴버드가 공부 년아 예배 동행해 봐 많이 동이 또 와마 되네 삼다이나 동이 또요 말해서 동이 덴버드가 증거를 되네 삼다이도 동이 덴버드가 증거를 해서 제자들 동이 또요 말해서
The text then continues, or even if one, just a sec, maybe I'll read from here. Okay, no change. So the text continues, or even if one has ascertained the meaning of emptiness, if the refutation of the object of negation is directed at the object of observation, then if one meditates with an ascertaining consciousness, but misses the object of negation that is to be refuted, one is in danger of meditating on emptiness as being truly existent.
그래서 동반이 고대 내내에서 안에서 동반이 봐 삼다 제바제도 주데 달로를 봐 동상지 다 다디 동반이서 동반 동사 지레도 되네 가자 까비기 동상디 파릉원이 미대제 파조 파스요 요바제 미대제 다 되네 다 동상지 레도와 선비글로 디기 파다제 단에 공부이나 디가려선다 동반의 퍼기 주여봐지 로다가는 파유도 디니 바라들 저와 메디겐 제가 동반의 퍼기 코롱 원의 수나 되게 동상시 퍼기는 나 되게 로디기 되는 바다 퍼기 원 코롱 원의 유에 바들 동상디 삼다 진되어 있나 니 동반이 또요 말했어 제가 디네 가자다 저 동상으로지 그 백코롱 동상으로지 리거를 때 이내디 tempa chupa rang ngone chupa nang tuye di zin tuyo, rang ngone chupa nang wade zin tuyo, nang wade zin tuyo kares. Chisan di zimba na tongi tempa chupa zimba res, zimba kyo. Techa dine ki zimba na tongi toyo mar taas, samlo na susu nyamyo na le tu se gomyo de kabliya, gombi kabliya, an dine ki tongsang chigi chagyo pala, tongsang di chagyo pala, tongsang di pacho di la sosu lo la jawa me tuyo gen, pacho pagi nuen, pagi tarung buji yo bache, tinsu yo bache, lo digi an pa taji, 곰디고 여바르지 곰고 여바나 디 유디 코롱 원에 주바 나제 디 나나신 곰고 하래 디 데마 주바 진 곰고 하래스 제가 동이 동상디 되니게 가자된 저 동상으로지 다 데마 주바디 되니게 동상 차제 디 데마 주바 진되고 곰고 하래 되니까 디 되네 삼다 곰되네 디 동이 따다 곰고 말 동이 또요 말다스 제가 삼 로리야 두 신앙아 저 냠뇨도 제바제도 삼다 소소 냠뇨나려 동상직 체교 벌레 로르 나즈 로들 저 피여 되바제 되네 여바제 나즈 로디게 파다지 곰되 바로 되네지 삼다베나 냠 로리야 냠뇨로 되네 슝고 베나 딜로디게 동이 곰고 말 동이 도고 말에 동이 곰고 말에 동이 템버 데 동상디 템버 저 진디고 그래서 지산 디안 노르레스 안도스네 송어라
So I'll read this again, but just before I do, this what His Holiness is expressing here is in relation to the experience of those coming close to realizing emptiness. So the advice is more experiential than, now to say from the translator side, than philosophical. So the advice, because the way it's written is quite philosophical, but the advice is actually experiential. So I'll read it and then come to Genla's explanation. Or even if one has ascertained the meaning of emptiness, if the refutation of the object of negation is directed at the object of observation, then if one meditates with an ascertaining consciousness but misses the object of negation that is to be refuted, one is in danger of meditating on emptiness as being truly existent. So this section starts with the word or. So the first part was about falling into the extreme of nihilism. Now, we talk about falling into the extreme of verification or permanence or existence, where one is faced with the danger when one is meditating on a particular object to see if it exists in the way that it appears and realizes that it is empty. And realizes that it's empty of existing in the way that it appears. It's empty of existing by way of its own nature. But that realization of the phenomenon's empty nature is something that remains over there with one's realizing consciousness over here. This is where one is now in danger of making an error. Because just like the unreflected object is perceived as over there by consciousness over here, when in meditation one realizes that the object is empty of inherent existence, but there is still this separation, this distance between the realizing consciousness and the realized pure empty state, emptiness. There is the danger that one will grasp as the object, emptiness, as being truly existent. So in such a case, emptiness will not be realized. So again, the text is quite technical, but the advice from His Holiness is more experiential. That when one realizes emptiness, but one is still perceiving the emptiness of the object as something separate, as distant, as over there, and the realizing consciousness over here, there is the danger that one will grasp at this new realized object, emptiness, as existing truly.
On the Niki, Dombaidi, the Niki, Demertubas in Sombene, Data Lenore, Data. The she, Kaya Mindu Simbi, Kaya Mindu Simbi, some Cheta Charo. That the name of Domba induced in the Zimba, Domba in Dember, Data, Data, Cheta Joy, Yanga di Para di Licorda, Domba in Jeba Che, don't you Toro Che, don't you bet Madova Che, don't you Toy again, Yeram la Gideodu, and Dipara de Chetal Joy, Yanga, Data Joy, Yanga Younger. She's not Denisa, Dipara delia, Sosuke, Sosupa, Yamio, Delia, Jan Shishin Dingo, Shishin, Jambata Shishin Digi. Denige some Jicomio de Cablia Lolia Ganis Chagudus, Lodigi Ganis, Nang Yudi Lod de la Canacho de Shijindigi, Lucian Chick Nang Sudida, Polueta swinging part, Shijingi part, but Lodigi Jebache do some Talaka, Shijindigi, the Lodi Ganis Tag to speak, Shijindigi Jebache. Chisa Shijin Jebache, Lodigi, Kaya Mindua, Sabigi, some Kogiobana, Shijindigi Lamsa, how would you? Oh, that is some data Norware, Lamsan Jambadi into it. Did some that Norware, and begin Jambadi, Nema, that Yarum Chick to Suran and also Rationalia, then he came into us and betons Chepasat and Chepata in Yanga, did no good reson shas. And Yanjologipa, those take Tony Jebajo to Jebaji, Lodipa, Tony Don Sanji, some Dario Cablia, Tadus and Sanji, Yashindigi. Dongbai de Lodi la Canis Nangu, Lodi, Dongbai Samna Gan Tang to Sepik, Shijing part, Tadukala, Dongbai de Puisha, and Yudisha, then she Nang Shebal Jawa Medican, Sheba de part, Tadukan of Tonguino, or Dizinguna Daddy, the Matuba Zingo Sacha, Yama, to Sumutaji, no go spella, Namza Shijing the Tony, the Jambati Lamsaj, or di no go or Sempic, Jambat Zingo, Chisa, Jan Shijing Idi, that you are doing Yamlin Jalia. That Jan Shijin Idi got Georgia that Manzoro, she had what they were Jan Shijin Tinguadi. She's not the Shijin Digi Hakuache, Shijin Digi, Tono, Lamsan, Jampati, Danger, or they didn't know wars, Pagaya, the Jampati, the Chuku, Jetu order. That is so surrounding Yamlin, Yamlin, but the Yidus in the Sosugi, Yamna, Nama Tinsi Pa, Jig, Sosugi, do Shimjushi, they got legal or what, they took or what.
The advice that's far covered in this paragraph is advice of great importance for those close to realizing emptiness. For us, though, we need to take it, keep it in mind, and keep it in mind also with the level of meditation that we do engage in, so as to strengthen these imprints. Because those yogins who are close to realizing emptiness, they will hopefully have done that in the past. And then when they're meditating on emptiness, like we try to do now, as with all meditators, you have two companions with you, two indispensable companions. One is vigilant introspection, and the other is mindfulness. And these we need to utilize throughout our meditation, just like the accomplished yogins do. So when they are meditating, they will be using introspection, or vigilant introspection, which is a mind of the class of wisdom, to investigate the object, to analyze the object. And when they're coming to a conclusion that is, erring on the side of the first sentence in the paragraph, where they're thinking nothing exists at all, their mindfulness will then remind them, because mindfulness is literally recollection, recalling the guidance, the training that they have received. Beware of falling into the extreme of nihilism. Likewise, when the yogin is investigating and again realizing, gaining a realization of emptiness, the pure empty state, emptiness appearing, and then their introspection is analyzing, emptiness is realized and thinks, I found it, the nature by which phenomena exist, emptiness. I've found it. It exists. And there, their mindfulness will recall their past trainings, thinking, you're relating to it as if it is something separate, over there, a phenomenon other, something separate. Here you're in danger of falling into the extreme of reification, or the extreme of existence or permanence. So in this way, the experienced yogin utilizes vigilant introspection and mindfulness throughout the process. Again, vigilant introspection is a mental factor of the class of wisdom. It's doing the analysis. Mindfulness is a mental factor of the class of concentration, but it also serves to recall previous instruction. And in this way, the skilled yogin can guard themselves from falling into either extreme.
지금 롭종라 제제 두스네 제사회절 제마 다 소소 지부로 직되네 곰라 캬베나 다데 냠도 기히 매바네 기유신 무슨 라마 무슨 냠도 매바네 데 냠마게 라미게 손샤바디 데니사 다 소소 삼나 차는데 칼라 니 젬바데 시신 덴제 엔 시신게 람사고 오 다디 냠마네 두스네 디진 노구레세디 두시 템베 젠투야고 당한주 도르도나한주 베네 다 사제 사와 균이 레마뇽와 지레 조야라 당보 다 로보 연에다 규이 현지 로보 연에다 고 강아스가요 말봐 다 규이 매버 소소 지부 로고 진짜 사지직이야 사지직 다른 무질이야 대양 공부하겠다는 모자도 당존 조고이네 당보 삽다디야 고장고로 삽다디야 고장 삽다야 보디 삼 데레치도 이 예고셔 되는 연구셔 되는 코드 조고래서 삽다 파 장제 도시대 되는 난 되는 장세위절이야 아주 바탕 모자든 저도 갑리야 다 될야 시신 땡고 걸어와다 가서네 삽자 되니기 다 되는 셔 될리기도 민도 선배게 삼당의 시신 땅고 되네리어도 갑라 잠바디고 옷 사제 되는 다 되는 셔 버스는 예수 조고래 생애마드네 라고스 벨람사 잠바디 텐도 걸어와 제가 잠바디 텐도 예 철보죠 안된 마지 나직도 시대 옷다 되는 실리도 안디 될래 리기도 민도 세대 다한데 시신 되겠다. 레바다 시신 통해도 남산 잼바디기 어디에 연화로 그래서 비도진 세상 예망한 저게 삽자지를 롭종체 바 장도르지 다 장서에질 조디급라 잼바데 시신이 비치 다진 도신진의 다달리 두고래지로와 다량사 간주기다 대사데 디피니 자야시 디모고체로와 디메바체 메베치 거로웨나 세상 디네자 잼바디나 신제다 아주네 롭종 추 롭종 지리가라 디레 디마레 바 라트라지 망고 시고로 딩한 세상 셈리 바 냐제 셈리 잼바 잼베 짐바체 마오바나 소소 아직 냠nen지 곰접디가라 삼노나 간점질려도 우체데 소수기 롤야 냠뇨 지나 지치리디걸 오디 제네 노트르르기도 디 제네 딱다레서 지고 시진기 하고 하지 시지하고도 잼바디 된도와지 고고르다 제산데 잼바디 마도나 제 녀마디 장지 잼바 제 소바네 디네 다다 녀마디 나산테 간스 로고라서 나고 말바데 제산 잼바 다다고 그래 제산 당아주 띵이즈네 제시신이 제시 조송도 디나신다 냠는 제발로 제시신이디 조고 있어라 디네자데 맞지 냠는 제다 지바르다 직대시 비나신라 좋아 삽다 다와나신
These days, people who need to travel a great distance somewhere new and they haven't been before, they rely on a close friend called GPS. The yogin has their version, which is these two mental factors, vigilant introspection and mindfulness. So previously, when we relied on paper maps, we would have to study them well before embarking on a journey. And we would learn the landmarks and so forth, so we know if we are on the correct road or not, or if we've taken a wrong turn, so that we can recognize it quickly, despite going somewhere new and a great distance. But having prepared well, studied the map, heard from others who made this journey, we can leave with confidence. And as we travel, our mental factor of introspection will be observing the landmarks and seeing, does that match with my preparation? And mindfulness, it's the companion to introspection, will be recalling one's preparation. And these two, mindfulness and introspection, when they are in harmony, when they're both saying you're going in the right direction, one has confidence. So too with a meditator. Through studying well, and not just studying, but also reflecting well, so that one is gaining some experience of the words and integrating them. Then, when one is in meditation alone, away from one's teacher, if one's preparation for this inner journey has been thorough, one can have confidence. And one will have confidence because one's mindfulness and introspection are well developed. If these are but wishy-washy, one is in danger of falling into one of the errors that were mentioned earlier. But if they are well developed, they'll be stable and reliable, and one can have confidence. And as one is meditating, using introspection to analyze the object, to see the progression that one is making, and mindfulness, its ever-present companion, recalling the training that one has had, one can have confidence. But if one is in retreat on one's own, especially for a lengthy period, and one hasn't developed mindfulness and introspection well, mindfulness, for a start, is not going to be doing very much. So mindfulness, remembering, has the second meaning of recollection. If it's not recalling the instructions have been forgotten, mindfulness is not fulfilling its purpose. And therefore, one will be in a danger of going in a wrong direction, not remembering the training that one has had. So therefore, in order to embark on intense solitary retreat, we need to study well and integrate that well. In this way, we cultivate the indispensable tools for our meditation to be successful.
Alright, 당은저 가상다 디링셰바다 돈다 닝보데라 가르돈다 스네 아주기라 셈세디 아주기 셈디 라신 아니 고묘몽바 견탐체단 자와 라신라 아니 견매바 지자다 아주기라 지게 상계 토백이 유 사본에 요래 장쇼sem기에게 사본에 요래 니지기에 사본에 요래 잠재기에 사본 차상 아주 요래 바래 제가 진바 추준서바 준저 삼대 시작이면 가르쳐배나 다 자위기 사본 양적 요요 바래 되네 자당 아주가 될이야 전바다 시신 대팅아주 대제당 아주게다 가제 배수지 가제 직소소 삼나 가제 마다도 내다 삼르디 뉴버 철셔다 이디 최고레스 지난디네 자다디 조어르징아디 다 수수가 직나주데 지게 진행 나라다 차상 나랑 그 죄병을 차사다 아주 야네 삼당고야 되게 침벌에 최고로와 이내당 아주 직 다다다다 용투금도다 딜레로다 되네게 직전에 이내다 지금 님 지금 저게 지금 됐을 때 투바데 배야고로 와다네 매발에 배야고래 내게 있다 공부로 와다네 제
Our time together is impermanent and has come to an end. So to summarize, the essence of what we've looked at this weekend is that our mind is naturally free of all stains, no different from the mind of the Buddha. And not only is it in its very nature, in its very essence, free of stains, we have also the seeds for all the good qualities we long to generate. Love, compassion, as well as generosity, ethics, patience, choice, perseverance, concentration, and wisdom. All those good qualities, the seeds for them exist, and being dependent arisings, by accumulating further causes, they will grow and strengthen. And the stains, the afflictions that of whose seeds we also have, those being dependent, can be eradicated. This we need to reflect on. This is an important point because it means that all of us, we have the potential to become enlightened. We have the potential right now through striving repeatedly over a sustained period, to transform how we experience the world, how we interact and interrelate to the world around us and the world within. And in this way, we can start to pacify our afflictions through strengthening our virtuous ways of thinking, in particular through including in our meditations both those such as love, compassion, ethics, and so forth, as well as wisdom. And through our reflections on wisdom, gaining confidence that the world does not exist precisely in the way that it appears to my mind, and thereby start to weaken our grasping and weaken the resulting afflictions. So these meditations, the descriptions you've heard, these are not beyond us. But to bring about transformation, we need to engage in them repeatedly over a sustained period. It's that repetition and that frequency of repetition that will bring about change. By recognizing this innate quality that we have, the potential that we have, from that strength of mind, all of us need to apply ourselves to these teachings, because so much benefit can come for this and future lives for using the time that we have left well and in a truly beneficial way. When we were studying in the monastery, advice our teachers would give us is, this text may be difficult. Don't give up. Don't give up. Moreover, you may not be observing your inner transformation, your spiritual development, but I have confidence that it is occurring. It's not clear to you right now, but it will become. Just persevere. Continue. Right now, you may well be comparing yourself to your classmates and thinking, oh, they have these qualities that I don't have. They maybe know so much, or they have they debate so well, and looking at them and looking at yourself and thinking, I'm not so good. Maybe this is a bit beyond me. This is, our teachers would advise us, it's deeply mistaken. So that I encourage you to follow the advice of my teachers. There's no need to compare yourself to others. We cannot really see what's going on with them. And comparing to others serves little purpose. What is required of each of us, if we do want to progress spiritually, is just realistically do the best we can. Keep doing so. No need to compare to others through what we observe, because what we observe, the way it appears, is not how it exists anyway. Just merely do the best you can. And when times are difficult, perhaps one's very busy, or the mind's not in a good state, that's okay. Don't give up. Just continue. And through engaging repeatedly over a sustained period, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. And specifically to ourselves, our teacher would say, or to our own situation in the monastery, that you may feel compared to others you don't know very much, or compared to your teachers, you don't know very much. One day, you'll teach outside this monastery, and compared to others, you'll see just know how much you know, and how much you can share, how much you'll have to say. Then you'll recognize all that you have developed over these many years of practice. So it may not be evident to you now, but I know this is correct. So have confidence, continue, and don't compare yourself to others. Just do the best you can, and you will exceed your wildest expectations of what is possible. Thank you.